Hello and welcome to Fast Politics on YouTube. Today, I am talking to my friend, legendary Democratic campaign manager, James Carville. We're going to talk about his recent op-ed where he said that Democrats should hang back, and I don't agree. We are going to talk about what should be the Democratic strategy for fighting back against Republicans. James Carville, hello, friend.
Yeah, it's good to
So
be
we
on. It's
we
good. We
have
got a
a
lot to talk
you,
about.
you and I have a disagreement. So
We
let's
all right.
well, I mean, I don't know that we disagree as much as we think we disagree.
Right. It's always
Mm,
generally that's the question. That
mm,
you sometimes you fight
Right.
over something and you stop and you think, well, wait a minute, it's not that big of a disagreement.
But let's talk us through. You wrote a piece for the New York Times
Right.
opinion page. It's now 3 weeks ago. Is it 3 weeks ago or 3 years ago?
Right.
Tell me what your thesis was.
My thesis is this: that there's genuine anger in the party,
Yeah.
there's genuine frustration, there's genuine fear,
Yeah.
and everybody wants to do something and do something now. Clearly, I want to do something. I want to stop this insanity as the best and most effective way I can. But you gotta let events come to you, and they're coming to you fast. Okay. I mean, the Schumer thing
Mhm.
is everybody's, and then when you kind of read what his thinking was, you can disagree with it, but it's not insane.
Right. I think he made the wrong choice, but he did not have great choices.
Right. What we know is there's one objective, and we know this, and that is winning the election. And anything that you can do to increase your chances of winning the election is exactly what you do. There's no
Right.
other principle in politics. You can't destroy these people any more than they're destroying themselves.
Right.
And for
Right.
the Action Now caucus, my question is, what action that we want to do? God damn it, we want, okay, what are we going to do?
Well,
And
this is the big question.
right. Okay. So if you're like I am, I spoke to the House Democratic Caucus yesterday. The New York Times called me saying, "Go, MAGA," and they're talking about the split between the younger Democrats who want more aggressive things and the older Democrats is personified by Schumer and other people that are advising strategic patience, I guess. Let's just call it that to give it a word. And I think it's not so much young and old. People that live in districts that are 26% Democratic have a different worldview than people that live in a district that is 2% of a representative district that is 2% Republican favoring. And if we're about winning the election, then we have to play to the plus or minus 4 Cook PVI. We have to play to that people in states where we have elections coming up that we win. We can't play to a district that's, central Los Angeles that we couldn't lose if we tried.
Okay, so I'm going to read you something from the chief of staff of my future husband. No, I'm just kidding. Governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, his chief of staff. The fight going on in the Democratic Party right now is not between hard left, and moderate. It's between those who want to fight and those who want to cave. And team fight stretches across all ideological aspects of the party. Misread this at your own peril. True or false?
It's abundantly false. Okay.
Oh, interesting. Tell me why.
Do you want to win or you don't want to win? The question is not do we fight or do we not fight? The question is do we win or not win? J.B. Pritzker can't lose an election in Illinois. He would have a different view if it was Michigan. He'd have a different view if it was Maine. He'd have a different view if it was North Carolina. When the British landed at Long Island, you know what George Washington did? He
But
retreated to Trenton. And you know what
right.
happened at Trenton? Well,
What?
retreated to Valley Forge and ended up in Trenton and ended up winning the war. So to the people who say, we want to fight, great. Fight how? You don't have the votes. You can't pass gas. That's the consequence of losing an election. All right. Get over it, dude. You're in a state that we can't lose. So you can send that out And all of the Democratic donors on the north side of Chicago, yeah, you're right. God damn it, you're right. I'm tired of these goddamn pussies sitting around. I don't know whether to, whine their ass or scratch their watch. We got to go out and get them. How? What?
Right. If you were Mitch McConnell and you were in this situation, what would you do? It's a thought experiment here.
I say this jokingly. If I were Mitch McConnell, I'd have shot myself a long time ago and humiliate
Right.
this happen.
But
But now that's
if
not
you were Mitch McConnell, you would have an opportunity. What would you do?
again to the do something caucus. Do what? So
Well, then that's my question for
I
you.
got
What would Mitch McConnell do?
I don't know. I mean, he's compromised himself on so many different occasions. He did not go through with the impeachment of Trump, which would have prevented Trump from running again.
Right.
Time and time, he's had to stand down for his caucus, I'm sure. The Trump people don't care what Mr. Cohen does. He can do whatever he wants.
Right. No, but
wanted
but the thought experiment here is, say you had the sheer cravenness of a Mitch McConnell and you were in the leadership of the Democratic Party. What would you do? I mean, because we know that if the situations were reversed, Mitch McConnell would be gumming up the works like you can't believe it. I mean, think about Tommy Tuberville when he prevented all of those
do you think that helped the Republicans? Well, that was Tommy Tuberville. Now we're gonna take our cue from a guy who's got a 52 IQ. All right.
seems
I
generous,
mean,
but I'm just saying, gumming up the works, there's ways to do it.
how do you gum them up? Give me a way that you gum up the works. So we have that you gum up the works.
You do a talking filibuster for 24 hours and you make it
Oh,
so everybody
oh,
can't
oh,
go on
on
vacation.
what? And so they'll take a cloture vote. They'll
So you
switch.
don't so you don't give him the numbers for cloture. I mean, I'm just gaming this out with you. I'm not.
I know, Molly. What I'm trying to do to you and the chief of staff of Governor Pritzker and the entire helmet banging on metal lockers. Okay, I want to end this scourge just as desperately
Right.
as you do. But to people that say do something, my question is, do what? And
Right.
so what I would suggest is we got votes coming up on, and by the way, there's something that's being done in the country and it's happening extremely organic. So
Right.
it's better to let that guy in Western North Carolina get literally accosted at a town hall with people screaming at him, or J.D. Vance shows up at the Kennedy Center and it literally booing him to death.
Right.
People showing up everywhere. You know what's cool about this? We're not behind it. It's happening organically.
Right.
Let a
Yes.
thousand voices rise. And when we have a chance to really frame the issues, they're going to come to us on the debt ceiling. The tax bill is going to be unbelievable issue framing for us. All right, is able to show it. And my point is this, and this is exactly what I told the House Democrats. And I agree with Bernie Sanders. I actually agree with Bernie Sanders more than most people realize. He said and Bernie is my generation. He's a little bit older than me, but he's in his 80s. And he said there's never been a time in his lifetime where he's been more afraid than he is right now. That is so true of me. The fear that I feel is unbelievable. But I think we need to do is meet the moment. And the moment is not standing in front of the Treasury building and waving our arms. It's not this. It's like the country is in serious trouble. We're deliberative, determined people.
Right.
And we should act that way. And we should convey our concern for the gravity of the situation. And this is not, as much as I detested the Iraq War, as much as I didn't like, it's like Bush, but I didn't like Bush's policies. I thought his taking leverage ratios to 35-1 was insane. But I never 1 minute thought it was going to be the end of the country. Okay?
Right.
I thought he
Right.
was a
Right.
bad president. I thought he made some bad policy choices. This is entirely different moment we are.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and we can't take the old playbook and
Yeah.
where we have a candlelight vigil in front of Brett Kavanaugh's house and think we're doing
Right.
all right.
Right.
People ascribe to me powers that I don't have. Okay, right?
Right.
like ask me something I say I don't know. So what do you mean you don't know? You can't not know. You're supposed to know. Why you might? What do you? What kind of dad are you? You don't know. You know.
Right.
You know. I'd say when I write something, you keep saying, do you look at what you say, or do you look at what you do, or anything else? Look directionally. All
Right.
right. When I say preachy females, our message is too feminine. I'm saying we're losing males. And I'm going to say it in a provocative way that's going to start the conversation. Don't give a shit. If I say do nothing, look directionally, what I'm saying is proceed with caution. And my favorite analogy is Muhammad Ali. He did not come out fists a-blazing. He rope a dope. He was strategic. He knew how to use the entire ring, and he won. At the end of the
Right.
day, the only thing that matters is winning the election.
Right.
That is not being a hero to North Side Chicago donors, which I'm sure this guy is, and he feels good about it, and that's his objective, and that's fine. You're in a state we can't lose. Other people,
Right. But you think really the play is just that, just to try to stay electable and not to
no,
seem
no. I think no. I think it's to make yourself more electable.
okay.
So we're in the room with the generals, okay, and we lay them
Okay.
out. And the map is the timetable. All right. So what are the key dates we got? We got reconciliation that's going to have to come up. Right. We got to
Right.
see what they come up with, what the difference between the House and the Senate are. We look for attack points. We know that there's going to be a debt limit extension. We
Right.
know they're going to propose $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. We all know this is coming. It's certain. How do we make our point most effectively? We know big event, huge event, Virginia governor is coming up.
Right.
Now, we're going to win, but if we win by 3, that will not have much effect.
Right.
If you win by 8, it's going to scare the shit out of everybody. You're going to have better recruiting. Okay. You're going to have better fundraising. The
Right.
Democrats, the reason that the image of the Democratic Party is so low is that Democrats don't like their own party because we lost. All right.
Right.
I don't either. I don't have a favorable opinion of the Democratic Party either right now.
Right.
Lost an election that we should have won. And by the way, we should have won it going away. That's not my point. So we have all of these events coming. You have all of this organic protest coming up. The worst thing we can do is politicize this protest as it's happening organically. The last thing we need is the squad sitting out in front of an organic protest in Asheville, North Carolina. Stay the hell out.
My question is sort of let the protests be the protests and they will create the leaders of the next Democratic Party.
The leaders come from presidential nominees. All right.
Okay.
It's very hard. The closest I ever saw it come in, I'd be willing for something to this effect. I don't mind. I don't mind being a copycat. I don't mind not being an originalist. I maybe, and of course he's so despised now. But the kind of idea of a contract with America, I would be
Right.
fine with that going into the congressional elections. Which the the reason that I'm a Democrat or passionate is John F. Kennedy, because I was a Catholic
Right.
pro-civil rights kid growing up South. Yeah, a lot of people of your generation became Republicans because of Reagan. They identified with him. It was that, and then some people became Clinton Democrats or Obama Democrats. All right.
Right.
We have not
Right.
had an inspirational candidate since 2012,
Right.
in spite of having the strongest bench I've ever seen in my life. And I want to get these people out in the playing field, but we got to be mindful of what our objective is and what we're able to do. Yeah, I was in San Francisco with Democratic donors at American Bridge event. No secret there. All right, these are San Francisco donors. We have a pretty good idea who that is.
Right.
But once you explain to people what our thinking is, they go, okay, well, that kind of makes sense. There's nothing less that I'm proposing. No way. I'm not proposing any surrender any more than Washington did when he evacuated New York. He had no intention of
Right.
anybody. And so that's where it is. And I can't help people, that Pritzker's chief of staff wants, all of his friends to feel like he's leading some charge.
James Carville.
That is, and we can disagree, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I'm not that sure on how much we disagree.
No, I agree. And
We're
I
talking
yeah.
time frame.
I also think this is a very tough situation because there are not great choices,
There are
right?
not great choices. It's not only is a tough situation, it is an extremely grave situation.
Yeah.
It's really, the country could literally blow a gasket. We could have a constitutional crisis. We could have start a war. We're siding with thugs. I mean, who wants to be on the side of North Korea and Belarus and
Yeah.
who doesn't want to be going to the prom with South Korea and Japan and France and Brazil and Nigeria and South Africa and Chile? This is where we are. And I am all for fighting back, but I think it's a serious, grave moment, and we have to fight back with
In the right way, in the
deliberate,
smart way. Yeah.
in a dignified way, and I think we can do that. But anytime I see somebody demanding action now, I just type in Cook PVI. All right, so AOC wants to charge the brigade. Well, AOC couldn't lose an election if she tried. Okay, but AOC is, you're not going to have power if you lose an election, a House election in Iowa, or you lose a House election
Right.
somewhere else. And the guy, bless his heart, Pritzker's chief of staff, you're going to lose an election in Illinois. Don't worry about it.
Right.
But if you want to win, you got to think of winning everywhere. And as long as we have that kind of selfish, compartmentalized, we're Bronx, Queens, West Side of Los Angeles, San Francisco mentality, then we're not going to win.
Yeah.
And you ain't going to have power. And you're
Yeah.
going to be pissed off and frustrated. And I'm offering a bright, sunny, forward-looking day where you have power. Yeah, power is what you want.
James Carville,
That's it.
hopefully I'll see you in New Orleans.